How do we know everything will be okay? Especially when we're going through something tough or a lot of things don't seem to be working out perfectly. Is there any way to know for sure that everything will work out perfectly? And the truth is, the answer is no. But when we're going through stuff, when we go through hard times or something's currently a chapter of life that seems to be a little shaky, we have to sit down and think about everything we've already been through. We have to think about what life has got us through, what we've achieved and what we've accomplished and how we dealt with those things, during the process. This is why it's so important to, write things down and look back and examine exactly, what we've gotten through and how. We do this so that when something seems hard again, we have a list, or some suggest making kind of like a cookie jar, some sort of gratitude jar, something that shows us that all the things we've been through, we've written them down, we put them on little pieces of paper, and when things get tough, we're able to reach in that jar and we're able to pull out things that have worked out, in our favor, even when we thought it was going to be a little tough. And this jar can bring a lot of faith back into moments of uncertainty. This piece of paper, this journal, whatever, that allows us to remember all the crazy things we've been through in life. And that's how we begin to start telling ourselves everything's going to be okay, and we're going to believe it, right? Sometimes you have friends and family that's going to say, hey, listen, don't worry, don't stress. Everything's going to be okay. And the reality is, as human beings, it's okay to worry, to some degree. It's okay to be concerned to some degree, right? Because as human beings, that's what we do. That's what we do sometimes, and there's nothing wrong with that. I try to let people go by every now and then on this trail. It's pretty busy, but that's what we do as human beings. Sometimes we're going to worry, sometimes we're going to be concerned, and that's okay. But back to the original topic, how do we know everything's going to be okay? How do we have faith when it seems kind of uncertain? And the best thing we can do is sit down and chill for a moment. Observe those negative thoughts. Observe, the fact that we don't believe it's going to work out. Observe the fact that we don't think everything's going to be okay. And then, observe, why are we thinking like that? Chances are it's just heightened emotions. Chances are maybe you're going through something at the moment that's allowing you to think negative. This is the real reason why we should have, notes and things to fall back on. Without these notes, without the journaling, without the proof, reminders of all we've been through, we'll end up staying in this negative state of mindset that's not good ultimately, and that's not where we want to be as human beings. It doesn't really do much for us in life, and ultimately the only way to snap out of that is to reflect on all the great things that we've gotten through. And then dig deeper into that. What's the emotions? What did we do? Did we eat better? Did we work out? Did we talk better to ourselves? And, ultimately, we want to dig deeper and, find out how we got through those things. When we dig deeper and, we get a good idea of what we did, I think ultimately we're going to find out that, that we ate healthier, and our mindset, maybe it was through prayer, maybe it was through good, encouraging conversations with other people. Ultimately we're going to find out that we made adjustments, and those same adjustments have to be made now. This is how we get back to, hey, everything's going to be okay. And then when we get through whatever it is, then we're able to share that with other people, because sometimes our chapters don't line up with our family and our friends, and especially, all these people in our society. So sometimes you're going to be on top, right? Sometimes you're going to have a moment in a chapter in life where you know, you just feel great. You feel phenomenal. You feel like, you know, you're getting in better shape, or you're in the best shape of your life, and your money's right, your mind's right. And sometimes people are going to be in the complete opposite chapter. And when you just are only able to respond with, oh, everything's going to be okay, you got to understand that frustrates people, because they're looking for how. Like, how do you know this? Why? What do I do? You know, what steps should I take? And I know a lot of people say, hey, you know, prayer, leave it in God's hands. And that is very factual, you know. It's worth noting, but, you know, the reality is people want more details. You know, they want to know exactly how and the steps they can take. And as far as those steps go, you know, you want to have solid answers. And if you're in a chapter right now where maybe you're not getting solid answers from someone else, life's already thrown you answers, right? If you've been through anything hard, I mean, of course you know that you know the things that you need to change, the things you need to do. I'm trying to catch this dolphin down here while I'm talking to you. But you have those answers, and you just have to take a moment to, you know, remember those things. Let's see, catch this dolphin right here. There it is. Kind of random at the moment, but I'll also give you a little view of this dolphin. Just kind of hanging out along the shore for some reason. Oh, I've got a couple dolphins out here. Isn't that cool? Oh, got him a fish. That's awesome.
Instead of star on the tent from a boat with a...
That one's in a really bright white coast. That is amazing.
I kind of lost my train of thought. I was looking at these dolphins for about 20 minutes, but yeah, I mean, the steps that we take every day, you know, the same steps we need to take when you know, things get quote unquote hard and difficult. It's the same thing every day, right? Writing our goals down, having some images, showing gratitude, you know, having a persistent mindset that if all other things have worked out, right? Then on top of that, people have testimonies and stories in our life that we get to hear. If all their stuff has worked out, this is where we begin to have a strong, solid foundation that, you know, everything's going to be okay. And then all of a sudden, when people say that to you, you're able to look at them and say, yeah, you know what? It is going to be okay because of, you know, what I've gotten through. And because of what I've gotten through, I know exactly the steps I need to take, and, you know, exactly what that looks like and exactly what that feels like. And then you're able to, you know, share that with other people as far as those steps and that process to, you know, getting back on track if you're off track, and having the right mindset if your mindset is not where it needs to be. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed that. Hopefully I got some footage of the dolphins, or yeah, there was two. I think I might have only got one, but hopefully you enjoyed that. And if so, you know, just share that with someone else, and, you know, just continue continue to go over all the great things you've been through, and never ever give up.